Hello and thank you for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. Our show is brought to you each week by our friends at Harper's Tree and Stump Removal. If you have any tree trimming, tree removal, or stump removal needs, Harper's Tree and Stump Removal has you covered. For the next 14 days, if you will mention that you heard this on our show, Harper's Tree and Stump Removal will give you an additional 10% off your quoted price. Give Keith a call. His number is 229-314-2048, or you can reach him at 229-938-2412. Harper's Tree and Stump Removal is the proud premier sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast.
Welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast, covering local sports in the Southwest Georgia area, creating content that is factual, positive, and informative, promoting efforts by athletes, coaches, and sports administrators. Now, here's your host, Tim Estes.
Hey, thank you, Thurston. Welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast. Our program is brought to you each week on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, X, and several other social media platforms. Remember to like and share this video with your friends. And if you're watching today on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Help us to reach the 1,000 subscriber mark. We've got a great show lined up for you today. Our guest is Coach Dwight Harris. He is the athletic manager at the Sumter County Parks and Recreation Department. Coach Harris, this is going to be a lot of fun, I think. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Coach, I know this is your favorite time of year. You've got a passion for basketball and have had such a huge influence on youth basketball here in our area, really for about 2 decades, I would guess. You guys recently completed another very successful youth basketball season. And what I want to do today is start by just hearing you talk about why you personally feel like it's so important for kids in Southwest Georgia to be a part of youth sports, and in particular, basketball.
Yes, sir. Basketball's at this time, basketball's in the air. We March Madness, and I think it's very, very important for youth in our area to participate in sports, youth sports, particularly basketball, because it helps build morale. And I always compare basketball to the game of chess, with all the different defenses and offenses, and then just different strategies. And then also with all the different moves. And that helps you to develop and grow, and it would help you throughout life with all these different things. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. So you have so many different strategies and things you have to deal with in life. So basketball, to me, has been a focus point as to how to train children and teach them and prepare them for life in general.
Coach Harris, you went through a youth basketball season where over 200 kids were involved. It got over, and at the end of every season, you pick all-star teams in each age group. So you had 4 youth all-star teams that all participated in district tournaments over the course of this past week. 3 of those 4 teams won the district. All 4 of those teams earned their way into the finals of the district tournament. So this coming weekend, you're going to have 3 of those teams headed to state championships. Tell me a little bit about those teams and what it means to see so many of our kids from here in Sumter County getting the opportunity to compete on that level.
It means a great deal because competing on the next level, a lot of kids wouldn't, if not for youth sports, and in this case basketball, they wouldn't have the opportunity to go out of town to participate or compete against another level. All 3 teams out of 4 won the district. And I've explained to them, you are the best in District 3. Now you're going to participate against other districts. And those teams in the other district, they are the best in their district. So who really is the best? So we'll go and compete, and we're expecting each child to be motivated, dedicated, and focused. And if they do that at the end of the game, regardless of what the clock says, they are always winning our book, because we often talk to them about a loser never win and a winner never quit. Regardless of the score, as long as you've done your best, they've done their best, then they're always winners in our book.
And Coach, one of the things I always try to tell these teams, and I think it's very important that these kids understand it, they've won district, and now Georgia is divided into 7 different districts geographically. And then you'll have a host team. So 3 of our 4 teams are in the final 8 in the state. That's got to be a point of pride for you.
It is. It makes me feel good to know that we could, get that many teams from Sumter County. Out of 4 teams, we get 3 to get an opportunity to go to state and participate against the other districts. And it helps me feel like I'm doing something right. They'll listen. They go through the drills without murmuring or anything of that sort. So it just makes me feel good. I know that I'm in the right thing. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Our show today is brought to you by several sponsors. One of those is our friends at Carter's Fried Chicken. They're located at 206 Tripp Street, offering breakfast, lunch, and supper. Owner Mike Shadows and his staff always support all the local teams here in the Southwest Georgia area, and they've been doing that for more than 30 years. They offer daily lunch specials with chicken, pork chops, and vegetables, and do it all at a fair price. Carter's Fried Chicken is proud to be a 2025 sponsor of the Integrity Sports Podcast. Dwight, let's kind of look at the state of all youth sports right now. Oftentimes we turn on the news and we hear these horror stories of parents and fans that may cross the line when it comes to behavior. Knowing that today on this program, many of those that are watching it will be parents or future parents of these players. Talk to them about how you maintain a professional atmosphere in your program, and give those parents of these young athletes some advice on how to be a fan.
Usually before each game, especially a big game, I make sure players shake hands before the game and after the game, because sometimes if you wait after the game to shake hands, if they lose, they won't shake hands. And sometimes the parents just come snatch their child up and take off. That's not what the type of environment we want to have here in Sumter County, in any county, as far as that goes. But what I try to tell my parents is, you are the parent and they're a child. If the child sees you're mad or irate, then that's how they're going to respond. And you can't do anything to help the child like that. You have to make sure you teach respect and good sportsmanship. So if the child lose the ball game, then you talk about how well he played. If he runs in baseball, hit the ball and he run to the left. So you don't talk about, you shouldn't have ran to the left. That was dumb. You embarrassed me. So if you say something like that, now the child is going to eventually quit because he embarrassed you and he don't want to embarrass you. So he doesn't play sports anymore. So what you have to do is just be calm, cool, and collective, and talk about the good things of sports, because it's going to help, like I said earlier, build morale. And you want your child to learn respect, and you want them to be well disciplined. That's what they get through sports. You cannot say to the child, your coach is ignorant or anything of that sort, because now the coach can't say anything to the child. He can't tell the child what to do, because in that child's mind, he's thinking about what mom or dad has said. The coach is ignorant. And so he's not going to listen. So if you have something negative to say, just don't say it in front of the child or to the child. Do it in privacy. Hopefully you don't have anything negative to say, because most of these coaches are volunteering their own precious time.
Dwight, I know one of the things you and I talk about in-house a lot that's important for parents to understand. We want parents to be there, and we're appreciative that they're supporting their kids. But a lot of times we see those parents trying to coach from the sideline. And naturally, that kid is going to look at them and try to make mom or dad happy. But while they're on the floor, parents need to respect the fact that that coach is in charge. Talk a little about that.
That's absolutely true. And what needs to happen is the parent can coach at home, but not during the game, because exactly what you said. The child is going to look at mom, he's going to look at dad, and he's going to do whatever his parents tell him to do. The parents, you cannot put the child in the game. You can't take the child out of the game. So when he's on the court or on the field or wherever he's participating in sports at, you need to make sure you let the coach be the coach and let the coach coach your child. You cannot do it during the ball game. So you have to put your confidence and trust in the coach. And that way y'all have a good working relationship. And then if you have any problem, go to the coach, alone, not with the child standing by you, just in case there's some kind of differences. But that's basically it in a nutshell. You just got to let the coach be the coach.
Coach Harris, we talked a little bit about these teams that are going this weekend to the state championship. You've got a 10 and under boys team that will head up to Calhoun, to Gordon County to play there. Our 12 and under girls team will be going over to Thomasville, and then you'll be traveling with our 12 and under boys team going up to Murray County. I know you don't know all about each of those teams, but I do want you to spend a little time here talking about each of those teams individually and what you feel like those teams need to do to have a real shot at winning a state championship this weekend.
They need to, first of all, be focused. They need to be tough-minded, listen to the coaches, and as we stated, not the parents while they're on the court. They need to play hard and be respectful. And if they do those things, and most of all, great teamwork, and don't be selfish. Pass the ball, keep the head up, do what they're supposed to do, and listen to the coach. If they do those things, I think we have a pretty good chance. The girls team, we have a few middle school girls on there, and it was a blessing that they getting this opportunity to go to state. I think they'll be okay. It's the 9 and 10 team. We have 3 bigs, and we have a point guard. He's left-handed. He's by far, I think, one of the best point guards we've seen here in a while. So I think they'll be okay. But there again, they have to pass the ball and be teammates and play together as a team. And 11 and 12, we have some great talent. We have a big boy, about 6'4". If we do the same thing, we got to be obedient to what the coaches are saying and buy into what he's saying and just look out for one another and just play hard. And if we do that, regardless of what the scores say on the scoreboard, they're still winners.
One of the things I've noticed about All-Stars, Dwight, it's a real quick season. So you put them together, and if they win district and go to state, you're talking about a 3, maybe a 4-week time period between the time they actually get on a team and the time the state tournament's over. I noticed that all of these people are really good, but it takes a little while for that talent to mesh. You're in a coaching role now, coaching our 12 and under. What are some things these guys can do and these young ladies can do to ensure that they compete as a team and not just a bunch of talented individuals?
They have to understand their role. For example, if I got one guy out there, the point guard, your job is to make sure you run the point, you run the offense, just like the quarterback does in football. If you see somebody out of position, you make sure you put them in position. And then the shooting guard, your job is primarily to score. That's the number 2 guard. That's all I need you to do is look for opportunities to shoot. That doesn't mean throw up everything. But if you have an open shot, take it. And the guys down low, just rebound. Make sure on every shot you go to the boards. You rebound the basketball, and y'all play together. And we try to put the best 5 out there on the floor at that particular time. Now, the starting 5 are not always the best 5 in a game. We, sometimes one guy just not getting it done, so we have to sub him out. But just put them together, and that's why we have practice, so that we can see what 5 mesh better together. And that's what we are doing. And it sometimes it's somewhat difficult because the ones that you think gonna get the job done, they don't always do it. Sometimes you have to go to the bench and get we don't want to say the worst player, but one of the players that you thought wasn't gonna do anything, but they come step up big. And you have some practice players and you have some game players. And what I mean by that, in practice, man, they can't do any wrong. They shoot up everything. It always goes in. But then when you put them in the game, sometimes it's like they freeze up, so we just have to rotate them in and out and prayerfully, all the things that we worked over, it'll come together for us.
Let's pause just a moment and thank another one of our sponsors who's a great friend of Coach Dwight Harris. That's Marty McDonald from the Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance Agency. They're located at 925 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard in Americus. Drop by and see Marty, Mary Lynn, or any of their fine staff and let them discuss your insurance needs with you. They can even do the discount double check, which helps to make sure you can receive all of the savings that are available to you. Their phone number is 928-3686, or you can look them up on Facebook. Thanks again to Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance for sponsoring this segment of the Integrity Sports Podcast. And remember, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Coach Harris, you've now been the athletic manager there at the Sumter County Parks and Recreation Department for well over 15 years. You have really built a trust within this community where not only the kids that's come through your programs are supportive of you and have a lot of respect, but their parents do as well. And it's not uncommon to see you supporting kids once they get in high school at games at Sumter County High School or at Furlough Charter or at Southland Academy. And the last few years, Sly County has come and played in our local league. And I know you've built a lot of friendships with the folks that are neighbors of ours from up north a little bit. Talk a little bit about how important it is for you to be an encouragement to all of our local athletes and their families.
That's very important to me because a neighbor is not always the person or individual that stays next door, and we're supposed to treat our neighbors like ourselves. So I try to befriend anyone I come in contact with, and to me that they are all children, regardless of where they live. They're all children, and we have a responsibility to train them up the way they should go. And when they get old, they won't depart from it. So we try to make friends with whomever, make them feel right at home, whether they in Sly County or Sumter County. The children are children, and they do most of the time what they see us do and not what we say do, not what we tell them to do. So I try to live the example that I talk about with the children. And when I go to the games to see them, I try to surprise them. The smile that once I walk in and they see me, they're like, oh, there go Coach Harris. They have no idea that I'm coming. A lot of times I talk with the parents to get information, get their schedule, and then I just try to show up to let them know that, hey, I'm concerned about you, whether you're in our program here at Sumter County or your high school or middle school program. I'm coming to support you because I want this support. I don't want you to forget it, and I want it to be a lifelong thing. I want you to think about once you're older, the good support you got from your coaches here in Sumter County.
Coach, you put in a lot of hours, no question about it, especially this time of year. And I know that can get to be a real grind. You've got to have a support network behind the scenes, your family, your friends, people that lift you up and encourage you. Tell us a little bit about who those folks are for Coach Dwight Harris.
Well, first of all, it would be my wife, Victoria Harris. She's a retired superintendent. And then my beloved son, Dwight Harris Jr., who's now a chiropractor. And also, Mr. Estes, believe it or not, you are one of the ones that that's in my support system. I want to do good for all of you guys. And I want to, it's not all about me. And a lot of times, even if I wanted to do something bad or something wrong, I can't because seemingly everybody knows who I am. Right. If I go somewhere, walk in a store or whatever, some child, they go, Coach Harris. You always say they go, Coach Harris. And I'm looking around, I'm thinking I'm helping them, but they really helping keep me straight. So if I wanted to do something, I couldn't do it. And I'm not going to do anything that's unethical if I can help it anyway. But those are the people that's in my support system that really, really keep me going because here at the rec department, you gave me an opportunity to be what I am now. And you let me do it the way I want to do it or the way I see fit. And we've never bumped heads on anything. So apparently I'm doing a great job. And I always want to do a great job because you gave me the opportunity to work.
Well, you are doing a great job. And Coach, we tried to talk a little bit about what we would say on this show today. And that allows the guest each week to kind of prepare. One of the things I didn't put in there that I do want to talk about before we end this today, we didn't get a chance to brag on your son. You just mentioned DJ Harris. He's always been one of my favorite kids coming up. He was always a respectful young man, was a great student, a great athlete. And I've been able to follow him through you during his college career. Had a great junior college career, moved on to a 4-year school, had a great career there in Mobile, moved on to Life University, and now he's a doctor. That's got to be a huge point of pride for you.
Absolutely correct. I taught him to be respectful, and to always treat folks the way he want to be treated. Don't think you're better than anybody else. Don't look down on the homeless or the bums, so to speak, because it could be you. So when you come in contact with people, always treat them with dignity and always be respectful. That's what I taught him. And when you're in school, you do the very best you can. And if you do the very best you can, whether you fail that class or not, as long as you know you've done the best you can, that's what's required out of any decent human being. Well, then do the same thing in life. Now that he's a chiropractor, I tell him, make sure you do the best you can for the people that you come in contact with. Don't just do it for the dollar. You said you wanted to be this, so be that. And you make the money. Don't let the money make you. Don't let your head ever get too big or to the size where, I'm DJ Harris and you can't tell me what to do. You weren't brought up that way, so you don't live your life that way. And a lot of time now, Mr. ST, we was at church this past Sunday, and my pastor in the pulpit said, "Oh, I'm so glad to see Dr. Dwight Harris here." And I said, "Well, I'm glad to see you too." And he said, "I'm not talking about you, man. I'm talking about DJ." I said, "Well, you better say Junior then."
That's right. Hey, he's always been kind of that, Dwight, he's kind of been that example that I try to use to kids. If you are respectful and do what your coaches say, and you concentrate on your books in the classroom, you end up doing pretty good. And DJ's been a good example to a lot of young folks on that. So I hope he'll remember that for his entire life and try to be as impactful as his dad has been. But Dwight, I appreciate you joining me today. We started this Integrity Sports podcast 2 years ago, and my intent was to highlight aspects of youth sports, high school sports, and college sports across Southwest Georgia, and the people that were involved in those who do it with integrity. And you certainly are a man of integrity. You've had an amazing impact on our community, and I hope that you and I together will get to do this for many years to come. But, man, thanks for joining me. And, Dwight, keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
And we want to thank you again for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. Thanks again to our sponsors, Harper's Tree and Stump Removal, Carter's Fried Chicken, and Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance. Remember, like and share this video. We've been averaging over 3,000 views a week, and that's great. We want to thank you for that. And for my friend, Coach Dwight Harris, I'm Tim Estes. Thanks for watching. So long, everybody.